Hello, Recheck Nation.
How's it going, team?
How are you guys doing? We're going to talk today about a movie, Pacific Rim Uprising, the sequel to Guillermo del Toro's Pacific Rim. But this one's directed by Stephen DeKnight. Before we do that, we want to give a couple of thank yous. First thank you has to go to the team over at Stardust. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been following us over on the Stardust app. We love posting over there. And they put together this screen. They partnered up with Real D 3D. So thank you to both Stardust and Real D 3D for letting us attend this special screening. Had a great time, and the 3D is really good in this movie. So thank you guys so much for letting us be a part of it. Second thing, we want to give a shout out to a lovely video sponsor that we've partnered up with for the past few weeks. And they have been very kind to us, and we really hope you guys go show them some support. That's viewerreviews.com. I'm sure you guys have heard us talk about viewerreviews.com and what it is. It's a new social platform that determines how well you like a movie based on your taste and the films you reviewed on the site. And it also helps you to connect with people who share your passion and taste for movies.
Yeah, think of it like a more personalized Rotten Tomatoes tailored to you and your friends' specific cinematic tastes.
We just started using Viewer Reviews a couple weeks ago, and the matches are pretty spot on.
It's real easy to get started. Once you create an account, you'll fill out a couple basic questionnaires to give a site a sense for your taste.
Then from there, you're ready to start reviewing movies, sharing your taste, and connecting with people. So do us a favor, hit that link down below in the description box. Check out viewerreviews.com today, and don't forget to follow us at The Real Rejects. We have an account. We'd love for you guys to come join us over there.
Yeah, man, even doing written reviews, so check it out.
Anyway, on to our reasons to see and reasons not to see Pacific Rim Uprising. Reason to see, number one, it is pure popcorn fun. Okay, if you guys have seen any of our trailer reactions for this movie, and if you're a subscriber here, most likely you have, I've kind of been a little bit repetitive on what I've expected from this film. I get the strong impression that this one is going to know a lot more of what this really is and just have a total blast doing it. This looks cheesy, it looks really fun, it looks incredibly entertaining, the effects look cool, just looks like a rock'em sock'em good time. And it gave me 100% what I wanted it to be. I've been out there saying that I felt like the first one, while it tries to be more than what it is, I really felt that in the end it did lack a sense of fun, and I rewatched it again the other day. This takes itself a little too seriously. It seems unintentionally cheesy, and I wanted more action out of it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised by how the first Pacific Rim lacks in action sequences.
It's a bit of a thick movie.
It's way too long.
And Charlie Hunnam is kind of a wooden lead.
A lot of the people are wooden in that movie, and in this movie, I thought from beginning to end, they just had a huge sense of fun. I felt like this movie knew exactly what it wanted to be. So while it's not exactly ambitious in trying to be thought-provoking or really trying to do anything super unique with its characters, it had a huge sense of fun. And more importantly, the action scenes are freaking bomb. The action scenes here are better than the first one, and man, is it action-packed. I was sitting next to Jay Washington during this film, and we were just like, oh, damn! And the first one doesn't get that reaction out of me. A lot of it's like, oh, that's cool.
Well, the first one, it feels like the action is like heavier, and there's like
and
always
they move
more
super
building.
Slow.
See, I do appreciate that, though, because you really feel just how heavy these machines are in the first one. And I feel like coming out of that, it works for a sequel for it to be a lot more quick, a lot more fun, because we already get where Pacific Rim was trying to go, and that's a thicker movie than this one, and so it moves at like a really clippy pace.
It's super fast. You might even say it's edited a little too fast in a lot of the dialogue-driven scenes, but at this point in this movie franchise, I'm like, I don't care. Just give me popcorn, entertaining fun, and it gives me 100% that. The action scenes are bomb. There's a wide variety of different types of jaegers, certain gear that appears, different types of arsenal and weapons that appear that at some points got the whole crowd clapping.
Yeah, if you're a big fan of like mobile suit stuff like Gundam and big monster movies, it's got all that stuff you're gonna love. And also there's actually some pretty cool design choices that are almost like Cronenbergian that they throw in, these weird like bioorganic machines. Don't want to say too much, but they do throw in some pretty nifty ways of building on what the first movie created that I did appreciate, that are kind of out there and wacky, but also really cool to see.
It's cheesy, it's mindless, but damn is it entertaining. And also it's funny, which really leads into our second reason to see this movie.
Reason to see number 2 would be John Boyega.
Boy, what an upgrade from lead actor from part 1 to part 2.
Yeah.
And as much crap as John Boyega gets for his Finn character in the Jedi movies, I'm so happy
not his fault, but that's
it's
the
not
writing,
his fault.
you know.
I'm so happy he has this role right here.
Yeah.
While the Pacific Rim movies are nowhere near on the caliber of what a Star Wars mythology and franchise is, John Boyega carries this film in such a great way. He is hilarious in this movie. In fact, the first act kind of reminded me of his early days of Attack the Block based on who his character was.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see him kind of go back to that area. He has a really good character growth in here, but more importantly, his interaction with all the characters is super funny. He's super entertaining, and you care about the guy. He's a great lead in this movie. Unlike a lot of these kinds of movies where you don't care about the lead character, and especially coming off of the first Pacific Rim, he is so damn good. He was like one of the highlights. So happy he leads this film.
And he really does feel like the son of Stacker Pentecost, you know?
In an appropriate transitional way.
Yeah, totally. And he's able to run the gamut of different things they have him do because, like you said, he's really funny, really charismatic, but when it comes time for him to really like throw down and to be a leader, I bought him in that position too. You know, I think he's a terrific lead for this movie, and I can't wait to see more John Boyega-led films.
Reason to see number 3, an entertaining supporting cast. So there's a few returning characters in here. Charlie Day's character, what's the other guy's name?
Burn Gorman. Yeah.
Burn Gorman.
2 scientists.
And because of the tone and style of this specific Pacific Rim, those 2 characters actually fit in really well in this one.
Their zaniness kind of felt a little out of place in the first movie.
Because of the tone of the first one.
Because the rest of the movie isn't as like over the top as they are. And now they're like kind of perfectly blended into the story. And they make some pretty neat choices with those characters, I thought. Not everybody will agree with that, but I really liked what they did with them.
I was thinking about that in that movie too, but I was also like, I don't care with this movie. It's just fun. It's zany.
Yeah, it's like it's got a more consistent tone, so the zaniness of some of these, especially side characters, just coalesces a lot better.
Charlie Day, he had some hilarious moments too. There are some funny ass lines this guy has in the movie. And also there's some new characters in here. You get like a bunch of kids. You know, you gotta throw in your kids in these movies now.
You know, the youth saving the world, and you got a better version of the little girl from Transformers 5.
Who has kind of her own little bumblebee thing going on too.
Yeah, Scrapper.
Her character name is Amara in here, and she has really good chemistry with John Boyega in the film too, and she's a really good character. No one in this movie is necessarily full of a lot of depth,
but they're handled appropriately.
Yeah, they're entertaining.
And I thought their arcs and stuff were all pretty nice for this.
Might I say one of the better Scott Eastwood performances too?
I walked out of this movie kind of liking him for once.
I think what helps save his performance too is John Boyega makes fun of his character in a really appropriate way. And after John Boyega does an impression of him, then I was like really able to get on board with Scott Eastwood's character after that.
Right. Especially because like Scott Eastwood, the issue I have with him, having seen more and more of his movies,
he's like a Jai Courtney.
He has one type of delivery. About halfway through this movie, I started to enjoy his presence even more, and especially when he and John Boyega are working together, I felt like that came alive for him.
Let's move on to our reasons not to see this movie.
Reason not to see. It lacks Guillermo del Toro's distinct touch.
Well, the first one doesn't really have the strong Guillermo del Toro fairy tale vibe that we all love out of his movies.
Yeah.
The production design and the look of it still had that unique flair about it. When I rewatched the movie, I was like, I actually like this less rewatching it. I still appreciate the beautiful design and imagery, not even just off the robots, but the cinematography and just the backdrops of everything had this unique dark aesthetic that is really missing here. There's a lack of unique imagery. While the effects are still good, and while the tone and style I like a lot more in this movie, the missing ingredient here would be that colorful design palette of every scene.
This reminded me of like watching an anime or something than watching a Guillermo del Toro joint specifically.
Which it feels intentional, but it still feels like a missing piece.
Oh, there's a distinct nod to Gundam at some point during this movie that you'll pick up. And on the Guillermo del Toro front, I do think that it is missing some of his heart. The globalism, some of the themes that the first one at least tried to broach. But I do understand the criticism that it is Pacific Rim, and this is not necessarily what this movie is for.
I think there's like that argument to be made in that department. One can appreciate intent from what Del Toro was trying to do with the first Pacific Rim. I'm on that audience spectrum that's like, okay, I'm all for intent, but the problem is I don't think the execution is good. It felt unbelievably cliche.
Yeah.
And it felt like, dude, you don't need to be so self-serious about what you're doing. This is kaiju versus jaegers here. Let's just have a lot of fun, can you?
Yeah.
While some can miss that, and I've read some reviews that are like, we missed that aspect to it.
I mean, I miss it, but the thing for me is I would probably sooner watch Uprising again, but I appreciate Pacific Rim more.
For this specific installment, overall, I did enjoy this one a lot more, and I had way more fun. So while I would have had liked some of that unique aesthetic that Del Toro brought to the first one, and in terms of its colors, its palette, I still think that this film is one hell of an entertaining time. Just turn off your mind.
But it's still well made.
Yeah, it's still well made. It's mindless fun. And while the editing can feel really choppy at times, especially in just dialogue scenes and whatever, with this film, you're like, I don't care about that. Let it be. Yeah.
Well, and also, I will say, just shouts out to Real D at least, because this was one of the best 3D experiences I've had in a long time. And I felt like that really added to the movie overall.
So, all in all, if you're looking for a deep film, this is not it. If you're looking for just mindless, entertaining, popcorn fun, and a good laugh, highly recommend that there are more reasons to see Pacific Rim Uprising than there are not to see this movie. All right, guys, well, very curious to see what you guys have to say about this film. Pacific Rim and Pacific Rim Uprising are two very tonally different films.
Yeah.
Some people might like this one more, some people might like the other one more. I actually can see why the Rotten Tomatoes consensus became what it is. So please, if you have seen Pacific Rim Uprising, would love for you guys to comment which one did you prefer, the first one or the second one. Leave it in the comment boxes, people. You can subscribe to The Real Rejects, click that notification bell to get notified every time one of our videos is up. Check us out on viewerreviews.com. Would love to have you there. And also check us out on the Stardust app. Thank you again to Stardust and Real D3D for letting us attend the special screening. Had a great time.
Yeah.